Hi everybody, hope you're well. After 3 weeks of break, now I'm back to doing videos, and today we're going to talk about the full moon that is happening on the evening of 13th of October or the morning of 14th of October if you're based out of Asia or Europe. We are looking at a full moon that is very dynamic and very impactful, and it will color the next 2 weeks at the very least for all of us. But the energy of this full moon is so cardinal, is so impactful, it is so warlike that it will sort of energize us for the rest of this year to bring to completion the things that we started this year. Because in cardinal season, which we are in the middle of right now, in cardinal season, we get the impetus to change things in our life, to turn the leaf over, to turn the season, to turn around the things that have been holding us back and move forward. This is the time when we take certain bold steps. And in the last 2 or 3 weeks, when we started or initiated Libra season is very much about relationships. As I wrote in the note to you, Libra season is about the people in our life. It's about partnerships. It's about our commitment. It's about the trust that we have laid down in the people in our life, and looking and reviewing those relationships, those partnerships, those contracts, those commitments. Where do we stand in those commitments, and where do the other people stand in that? Do we have the right contracts in place in our personal life as well as in our professional life? Libra season is about collaborating, about reviewing agreements we have in place. It's about initiating and taking steps proactively to bring those relationships, those partnerships, those contracts on even keel, on equal footing. And despite Pluto being the dominant energy this month, because Pluto just went direct on 3rd of October and is pretty much standing still the whole of this month, which means that power dynamics and to some extent rebirth and regeneration is very much a dominant theme as a precursor to Scorpio season, which begins on 22nd or 23rd of October. Libra's energy still wants us to make sure that we are approaching our own powerful self, our own power dynamics in our life with a balanced mind, with a cardinal air energy, which is to discuss things out, to try to resolve issues diplomatically, to try to make sure that we're treating others and meeting others halfway on things. We're trying to create connections which are honest, because Pluto wants us to be honest. Pluto doesn't want us to lose our power in partnerships. But at the same time, Libra is keeping us honest in the sense that we are being true to the other person as well. We are treating others as well on the fair ground. So we will find that wherever Pluto takes over, and you'll see that in arguments and discussion with people, where you'll suddenly see a side of yourself, or you'll see a side of the other person that you did not expect to come across. It's like, suddenly, why is he taking this so personally? Why is this person suddenly behaving in that fashion? And you see them suddenly withdraw back as well. This is the conflict that is going on between people, including us and others, whereby Libra is asking us to stay balanced, stay engaged and try to resolve relationship issues, meet people halfway, do business dealings in a fair and balanced fashion, maintain peace, maintain conflict resolution, go for legal cases in a very balanced fashion, try to give air to relationships, the other, right? In Libra season, we try to take care and take the others into our mind and our thoughts and our perspective, and we try to compromise a little bit to some extent, or at least meet the other person halfway. You will find in that season Pluto is squaring Libra energy, and it's saying, oh, what about your leadership? What about your positioning? What about your desires? What about your passions? So you'll find this conflicting energy come across in other people. What has happened over the course of last 4 or 5 months, when Pluto was retrograde and it has just gone direct, we were given a chance to figure out where we are giving our power away. And it's not just true for you, because Pluto has a psychological impact on larger set, on the population. This has been the time when things have been coming out in the open to you and to others, where they are giving their power away as well. So over the course of last 4 or 5 months, it's like there has been an internal restructuring that has been going on, whereby we sort of have been destroying the false structures within ourselves, the false fears within ourselves, where this existential question, why am I not taking the throne? Why am I not taking the stage? Why am I not going after the things that I truly desire? Why am I suppressing my desires, my need for achievement, or my need to do the things that are true to me? Those questions have been going within ourselves, sort of caged inside our heart over the course of last 3 or 4 months when Pluto was retrograde. And now with Pluto going direct, people want to display that power outwardly. So this month has been about display of power in a season of relationships, in a season where partnerships and diplomacy should win. But because people don't want to live lies anymore, there is a destruction of false concepts which has happened over the course of last 4 or 5 months, which was not ordinary, because Pluto was moving with South Node for the last 4 or 5 months, which means that we were releasing the things that were holding our power back, and now we don't want to go back in that shell anymore. People don't want to become fake anymore. People don't want to gloss over the things anymore. So you've come out of a situation where you have shed a skin, and now in the season of Libra, where you have to display that power in partnerships, we are being tested on how well are we able to balance that desire, that passion, that energy, that needing to be living your truth. How do we balance that in the face of diplomacy, in the face of relationships, in the face of business relationships, in the face of transactions, in the face of client situations, in the face of us being facing relationship issues? How do we balance being us, the strong us, the core that has woken us within ourselves? Because Pluto goes in and wakes up our dormant powers, our dormant skills, our dormant passions, our dormant need to be somebody who we truly want to be. So it has been going inside us, and block by block, it has removed the things that were holding back you displaying who you truly are to other people. And now it is like, okay, how do I use that raw energy and channel it productively in a relationship situation? Your individuality wants to be given its face. It wants to be given its voice. It wants to show up in a partnership situation. It doesn't want to hold back its opinion. So once you have been more, you do not want to go back in a shell and be less. And there will be situations that you might have already confronted, because Venus and Mercury, they have already made a conflicting aspect with Pluto over the course of last few weeks, because they have been moving ahead of Sun, which means that we have been sensing the situation before the situation has happened. We sort of have Mercury and Venus, which are like a satellite of Sun, and they've been rushing ahead of Sun for the last couple of weeks. So we have been sensing things before they happen. So you've been sensing that this has been building up for some time, for the last 2 or 3 weeks, and you know there is a war brewing. You know there's something which is about to pop. There's something which is about to sort of reach a phase of either this or that. There's an intensity, if I can call it even a conflict, with powerful people, which you know is brewing, and it's about to come out in the open. And it is something that will push you to come out with courage. It is something that will push you to come out of any fear, because once you have realized over the course of last 4 months what you want, what your hidden desires are, what your hidden passions are, and what your hidden fears are that are stopping you from taking the stage, that are stopping you from being who you want to be. You would not want to go back in that, because Pluto changes you irrevocably. The changes that have happened so far in you psychologically, there's a part of you that has died, because Pluto is about rebirth. So if you try to go back and hold to the old patterns that you did before the last 4 or 5 months happened, and you even try to go back to your old ways, that is not going to serve you. You have to, in some ways, forget the old ways, because it's unavoidable. It's unavoidable that we will be, to some extent, if I can call it a failing, we'll have a failing we'll fail ourselves if we do that. We'll fail our own destiny if we do that. It's very difficult to miss our destiny, but we can miss our destiny if we don't try to catch what has been given to us, the gifts that are being given to us. So it's called existential isolation in in astrological, I guess, nerd jargon. It's called existential isolation. This is the phase in which you sit in between in a limbo, where a part of you has died, but the new part has not shown up fully yet. You're still finding you, but there is a part of you that does not exist anymore. So trying to go and waking that part up and saying, okay, I'm going to take this situation, I'm going to take it again. Or it's okay, pass me over, go over and do that unfair thing to me yet again. I'll do it to maintain harmony, to maintain peace, to be more permissible about things. That won't work anymore. It will come back in the ways that it did not come back before. Because you see, this is the phase where we cannot hold on to old patterns anymore. This is something which has ended. Pluto, Saturn, South Node have never come together in our lifetime, but they did over the course of last couple of months. They killed something. Because Ketu is about release. It's about release. It's attached with us saying goodbye to certain people, certain things, certain patterns, certain part of us. So over this last 4 or 5 months, Pluto raises a primal desire within ourselves, which we were suppressing. And then an opposing force comes with it, because Pluto is psychological, right? So it shows us, okay, this is our fear, this is our issue, this is why I'm not speaking up. This is why I'm not taking that job. This is why I'm not acting the way I want to act in a job. This is why I'm not taking the stage. And that manifests in form, this opposing force manifests itself. We normally project that in form of a person. So over the course of this year, you might have seen certain people who are opposing this primal desire that Pluto has awakened in you. There is a passion, there is a need to be somebody, there is a new desire that was given birth to, and then an opposing force showed up against that. Because we externalize a problem to solve it effectively. It's most effective when we see it outside ourselves to deal with it. So stay with me, because this is very important to understand to begin 2020 correctly. Because Pluto is trying to change something within ourselves for us to be able to fulfill our desires in the right way. So from 24th of April to 3rd of October, when Pluto was retrograde, this opposing force, I want this, but this is not letting me have it. This organizational structure, this existing job, this person, my superior, this structure in my organization. So an opposing force was felt, and while you were fighting this opposing force, you were building a strong sense of personal identity. Because during the retrograde period, Pluto builds a muscle within ourselves that we did not have before. So you've been flexing over the course of last 4 months, removing things that don't serve you while you were flexing it, right? So the flab has gone away, the fat has gone away around this muscle. That's how the muscles are built, right? You're building the muscle, and the energy that is produced as a result of that is melting away the fat. It's melting away the things that don't serve you, and this new muscle is developed due to the resistance, and it has given you a sense of achievement, having that muscle. Now, when Pluto is direct, this muscle is flexed and tested. Can you use your power without losing this muscle? Can you eliminate whatever is fake, superficial, when this is put to practice in real life? What do you do? Whether you see, can we channel this raw desire? Can it be contained and directed into a powerful energy which is sort of manifested in a real way, in a healthier way? So this is like, okay, I really, really want this. Somebody really doesn't want me to have it. But over the course of last 4 months, I have created a strategy to get it. So the full moon that is happening now, on 13th night or 14th morning, is going to test this muscle. Because this is war, and I'm not going to mince my words in this, because Aries full moon is a war-like energy, but more so at the degree and with the aspects this is happening, I cannot gloss this over. This is you staging a war to truly get what you want. And the next 2 or 3 weeks will be like that, not just for you, but for the people around you. Moon in Aries, which we have right now, which is kick-starting this next 2 or 3 weeks of process of starting afresh, finishing something that is passionate, that is true to your heart, that is your desire. You want to pioneer it. You want to bring that home. And this is you saying, I have the courage. I have created my tools. I have created my strength required to do this. But now, to some extent, I need to go in head, like just ramming into it. I have to put everything I've got into it and bring it home. This is war. Bring it home. The next 2 or 3 weeks, just think about that. It is like we got blinkers on over here. We got blinkers on over here. Just bring this home. Because Aries energy right now is especially this degree, is a very cardinal energy. It's where we have overwhelming power, a lot of hidden potential, a lot of hidden energy, a lot of suppressed energy and power will come out as a part of this full moon, and it will be channeled into something that you truly are passionate about and you need to absolutely bring home over the course of next 2 or 3 weeks. This is about starting afresh, doing something innovative, pioneering something, going enthusiastically, almost like with a childlike faith into something and bringing it home. This is a very, very dynamic full moon which has Pluto squaring it. It's saying we cannot be comfortable in our old skin anymore. This is you giving yourself a rebirth. But at 21 degree of Aries, where this is happening, which represents overwhelming power, even a glorification of aggression, and we'll see that in the global events, aggression is getting dialed up. You can already see that, right? The aggression will get dialed up. The struggle for survival of the fittest, the eagerness for power to show up, show that deep down people do sort of admire this primal form of power. There's an envy to the people who have that. So there's a huge amount of power that that comes with it, and the power will be in play. We have to put physical energy, a lot of physical, and you'll feel like amped up with it. Pluto square gives us this huge amount of impetus to get out of inertia, to get out of, even if I can say, being nice to each other to some extent. And you'll see that this gives people an edge. You'll find people edgy. You'll find in some parlance, if I can call it, people acting up, but this is just people going to war for their own personal goals. They're deciding what they want, and just like you got the blinkers on and you're going for it. There's huge amount of focus here. So give the next 2 or 3 weeks a goal, because this is humongous amount of energy which needs a channel, which is something that you need to push through. It sort of pushes you to come out and do something and put everything you've got into it. And you'll heal by letting go of any intense negativity that's coming with it. You have to channel that into work, because otherwise it will manifest itself in the places you don't want it to show up, because Moon will be squaring Pluto as well. So emotions are riled up here. It will show up in personal life. It will show up in fights with people if you don't channel it to your ambition. You got to aim higher. There's something which is sort of just, the fear is just given up here. You have to believe that there's a huge amount of power behind you in bringing home what you're working for. Huge amount of motivation, taking charge of life, meeting a challenge head on in a very extrovert, direct fashion. And you will find yourself enthusiastic, you'll find yourself independent, you'll find yourself very persistent, because this is not group work. If I can be very honest with you, this is not group work. Aries is about going independently, working on your own and just bringing it home, knowing that only you can depend on you here. This is not a collaborate. This is not Libra energy. This is opposite of Libra energy, which is highlighted. This is about being almost stubborn about your ambition. And there will be people who think you're being obnoxious about it, you're being reckless, you're being arrogant about it. These are the things which will come out, because Pluto is the apex of the aspect that is happening. There's a T square, which is a cardinal T square. Cardinal T square has a lot of energy. It says, let's go, let's go. This is it. We got to do it. We got to do it. We got to put everything we've got into it. And Pluto is the apex of it. And Pluto is all about desire. It's about going beyond what's visible to the eye, seeing through what you can do beyond what's evident right now. Even if it looks obnoxious to other people, it looks foolhardy to other people. There's this passion and blind passion that comes with it, that I got to finish it. And it results in a rebirth, a powerful rebirth of your own authority, because Pluto is in Capricorn. It's all about rebirth of your personal authority. You become the kind of leader that you have never been before. You're coming from a place where we fight with ourselves for our own ambition, where we fight with our own limitations. We fight with inertia, because this is something, what you're doing is new, what you're doing is innovative, what you're doing is first. Aries is a pioneering sign, so you're doing something which is pioneering something. You're doing something which is discovery, which is passionate, which requires you to put everything you've got into it. Aries is where we dare, we are independent, we take initiative, we pioneer something, we create something that is unique, we put everything we've got into it. We have to get a little bit selfish here and get out of inertia and focus on us, because we've focused on others for the last 3 weeks. Now becomes the time to focus on what fulfills you and go singularly into it, go impulsively into it, go naively into it, go with your fiery, feisty self into it. This is where you take the initiative. Aries is where we take the initiative. We don't wait for things to come to us. We take quick actions for quick results. So you'll find yourself relying on yourself and being assertive for yourself, waking up to intrinsic qualities within your chart of Aries, which is, I'm not going to wait for things to come to me. This is where I need to take action. There's freshness to it. There's excitability of new beginning to it. There's a cardinal fire energy to it. I got to take action and I'll see quick results. I'll have a lot of physical energy going into it. Brazen energy going into it. Passionate energy going into it. Primal energy going into it. Eagerness going into it. And it's not where you'll find, there's no script here. There's no script, if I can say it, because this is not going to be a predictable way where you'll have a plan and something will turn out according to your plan. Things will come out of the blue, it's like spur of the moment. You'll have to think quickly. You'll have to, things will suddenly churn up. Aries is quick energy. There's surprises which come with it. There are twists and turns which will come with it. So because this is something where you're meant to set something ablaze. Believe that you are being a pioneer here. It's the man on the moon. It's the huge power of will that you can do something that has not been done before by your own initiative. And by your own initiative, you can do a lot here. There's motivation here. You have the aspect support motivation, the aspect support purge of old, the aspect support confrontation, being forthright, being like a child, direct and simple and straightforward, following simple steps to get it, being impatient about it, being straightforward about it. But two things which I need you to be careful about. This is exhausting energy. I will not lie. As I said, this is moon in Aries. I've got my own personal moon and sun in Aries. I'm going to be very direct about it. There is no way that in the next 2 or 3 weeks you will not feel exhausted, because Aries energy is like and it's my own energy. I know how it works. It's like the toy that you wind it up and it's like going, and then suddenly, okay, it's done. It needs to be refueled. You'll feel like that over the course of next 2-3 weeks. You'll put a lot into something, then you'll suddenly will be exhausted. Because you've put everything in it. So take little bit breaks. Aries energy is very hot. So keep yourself hydrated. Go like you're going into a mission. And this will work best, because this is Aries usually do not have a whole lot of game in them, if I can say it. We are direct about things. We are the first sign of the zodiac. It's a childlike energy that goes in. They're intuitive about what they do, but there's not a whole lot of game or strategy going on. But this season is different because it's colored by having Mercury, our mind, Venus, our heart, and Scorpio. Scorpio is a strategic sign. So while this is happening, we have the benefit of going into this strategically, and to some extent we need to go strategically because of the degree at which this full moon is happening. 21 degree of Aries, where this full moon is happening. It's 1 degree in Aries, which is almost like a scorpionic degree. It's a strategic degree. It's a degree where you gotta use certain things in the right way. So while you're going head on with everything you've got into it, you have to realize that if you don't use a little bit of strategy, you might not get there in the right way. You're a boxer in the ring. So while you need your energy, you need your focus, you need this battle-like sheer self-assertion here, but where you will stand up to any kind of intimidation, any kind of injustice. You'll be fighting for your belief. But with Pluto squaring this full moon and 21 degree of Aries being the degree at which this full moon is happening, you gotta be a boxer with the right tactic. So in Sambian astrology, this degree is defined as a boxer who lowers his guard to bring his opponent off balance, then follows through with an unexpected uppercut. You have to quickly assess your options and maybe on your feet while you're taking risks, while you're doing all of that. You got to have a little bit of strategy in it. You got to have a little bit of game. And this is a game that you've been taught. Pluto teaches you politics. Pluto teaches you strategy. The last 4 or 5 months, whether you realize it or you don't, your DNA has got a game in it. You have learned how to play this game. You've learned the strategy on how to get truly what you want here. And I'm not asking us to go to negative side of Pluto, which is, becoming a real politician. There is a thin line between strategy and politician. So I'm asking you to have a strategy. Have a strategy going into this. Knowing that there will be people who will play games here. Knowing that people will be playing tactics here, where you'll have to quickly assess your options, think on your feet, and have a strategy to preserve what you truly want, to be strategic about, to be disciplined about it. And the aspects support you to have that. You have access to that energy, because on 14th of October, Mercury, our mind, which is in Scorpio, so it's strategic, our mind is strategic right now, is meeting Saturn in a sextile aspect. So we have the discipline to have a strategy. We have the discipline to sort of channel this raw energy and desire very productively by having a strategy about it. So you know how to get in it. You need to find out how to get an advantage when you're in the game. Indirect approach versus coming out with the punches when you're competing against another will help you better here. So don't self-defeat by fighting yourself here and exhausting yourself. There's a little bit of game that is required here. And as I said, I'm going to be very direct about it. We are recording this under Aries moon, and which is my natal moon. So I'm just telling you how it is. So on mundane, in a general impact basis, it's going to be hot. It's going to be stimulating. Hydrate yourself. Conserve your temper, conserve your energy wherever you can. Choose your battle. On global basis, we'll see some amount of military action. This is something which I told you even in July, because we'll have the North Node or the Rahu revisiting the eclipse of July on 29th of October. So as I wrote in my note to you, and I wrote also I also spoke about it in the July videos, and I would suggest you to look at the July video, which is the eclipse which happened end of July, which will get activated on 29th of October. You can expect a karmic event on 29th of October, maybe 1 or 2 days before, 1 or 2 days after, in line with that eclipse. And I expect a fire or a military action or an aggressive action as a result of that. There's sort of a sudden event, physically active event, which happens, and it plays on agreements, it plays on partnership, it plays on matters of war and peace, and people can have temper, they can fight, they can be impulsive. You might see sudden actions as a result of that. What we can do on our individual basis, as I mentioned, take care of your health, take care of heat. Don't go out too much if you feel that it's just too heady, because the forehead is the one that is impacted. In case of Aries full moon, forehead is, so migraines are more common when that happen. Heat flare up, adrenal flare up, hormonal flare up because of inflammation is more common. We have this short spurt of energy which comes, and then we are exhausted a little bit. So taking care of your muscles, taking care of if you're driving or something, especially if you're a cardinal sign, you're a Aries, you're a Libra, you're a Capricorn, you're a Cancer, you want to be especially careful in terms of hurrying up, in terms of trying to hurry up. Exercise for spurts and sort of get muscle exercise proactively here, but you want to avoid adrenal getting overstressed essentially, because you'll be doing too many things and there's short spurt of energy coming in and there's heat that might come with it. So if you want to sort of proactively channel it by doing some exercise which is lighter in nature, which sort of gets you started, gets this energy flowing and channeled appropriately. Looking at history, because this, I always look at the history of the full moon, especially the ones that are cardinal in nature, because something must have started or something might have ended. When a full moon happens in a cardinal energy, we see significant beginnings and endings, especially if they have interacted in some ways in your chart in the past. So look at history. If something happened which was significant in nature around October of 2015, 12th or 13th of October 2015 is when we had new moon in the opposite sign. So it's possible that in October of 2015 you might have initiated something new for others, for somebody else, where you started a new life or you started a new chapter of your life, keeping others in viewpoint, to create harmony, to be in a relationship, to be in partnership with somebody, or you started a new job contract. And now we see the opposite side of what happened in October 2015. If a new start happened in October 2015, we might see a next chapter begin over there. An old chapter comes to conclusion. What you started in October 2015 comes to conclusion now, and a new chapter begins. Or if something ended in October 2015, you might see a new start. So opposite of October of 2015, if there was a significant, especially I think if you started something new, a step you took for a relationship where an old chapter got over and you took a very bold step to be in a relationship, to be in a contract, to be in some sort of a new start for others, for harmony, for clients, that comes to a conclusion and result. And now the chapter begins about you. Now you take a step for you. So it will have a color of you versus the other here. This is Aries energy is very much about you. It's about us. It's about, rather than being and doing things which are purely focused about others, we do something which sort of takes care of us, which is good for us, which is constructive for us. So even in a business, maybe you sort of entered a business or you entered a contract with another at the time, and now you sort of want to go independent. You want to go on your own. You want to do your own thing. So reversal of roles might happen now from October 2015. If you have the context, and I highly recommend to do this because it helps me significantly, because it shows clearly. I cannot tell you how this how this full moon interacts with your personal chart. But if you look at history, if there is any planet in your chart that gets activated at this degree, you will know it. So look at your emails, your phone calls, your photographs, something on your phone. This is the e-world, right? So look at your phone. Just look at your phone. Google on your Gmail. You can put a before and after of this date. Put around 11th October 2011. 2nd October 2011 to 11th October 2011. Sorry, around 27th of September to 11th of October 2011. 11th of October 2011, this exact same full moon happened. So you might have had something activated in your chart. The exact thing does not replicate, but similar things. For example, in my personal chart, I have Pluto at this point opposing the midpoint of my sun and moon. So every time this full moon happens, I have to be physically careful. So something major always shifts in my life when this happens. So, you can look at your history to figure that out, if this is significant for you per your chart and what kind of energy it sort of activates. 11th of October 2011 and October of 2015. October of 2015 from October of 2015, something might be coming to completion now. 11th October 2011 might be a parallel. But again, these energies of the outer planet and the other aspects, they are not repeated. So this is just for general flavor if something in your personal chart is getting activated. Galileo Galilei, if any of you are familiar with him, he was the father of modern science, physics, astronomy. He had his moon here. So the quality of the personality or the people who were born on these dates, or they had the moon on this, we sort of can look at that as a third person to see what kind of events might come up. And he was a controversial he was a very controversial person, even though now he's recommended, he's sort of seen as father of modern science, father of modern physics, father of modern astronomy. But during his time, he was sort of casted down as foolish or absurd by traditionalists, because he was a believer in heliocentric view, which means that according to him, everything did not revolve around Earth. Earth was the one which was moving around Sun. But this heliocentric view, at that time, there were very few people who had that, and it was considered absurd by traditionalists. And he was sort of on house arrest all his life, for a long period in his life, because he was sort of casted out. But he did his finest work in this time. What I'm trying to get to is that even if what you're trying to do right now by traditionalists, because this is squaring Capricorn, and Capricorn represents history, represents structure, represents administration. So even though not the people, but on a mundane level, that's what it represents. So that is sort of squaring this energy. So you'll find yourself maybe fighting against an archaic structure. You'll find yourself even being told that this is foolish, this is absurd by traditionalists, as he was told. But we know who he was, right? So he is the one who gave us the view of the sky. He was the true astronomer. He was the true physicist. His work is what brought us where we are today. So, and he was very resilient about it. So these are the things that can come up in terms of the projects that you might be working on. You sort of have to look at it as something that you're doing because you want to pioneer something, because you want to leave something that you will be known for. So belief is a very important part of this full moon, because the most positive aspect that is happening for this full moon is coming from Jupiter here. And Jupiter is about faith. Jupiter is about believing in your destiny. It's about attracting good events by fortunate events, by opting in to believe in your future, by traveling, believing in expansion of your mind, meeting with people who expand you, meeting with mentors, educators, reading up and expanding your knowledge, and believing in this expansion being one of the most positive things that are coming out of the experiences that we are having right now. Because if we try to keep finding the end results and not believe that the journey is adding to us, we're just wasting our time and trying to get somewhere. If I may say, I mean, we always try to get to the end, right? But the journey is what adds the most to us. So Jupiter aspect in a positive way to this full moon is telling us to believe in this journey, to have faith that it's adding to us, that the good luck or the lucky aspect, because Jupiter is considered the lucky planet, that lucky planet comes more into play if faith is part of the equation. If we believe that every experience that we are going through is adding to us over here. So if there's a conflict that comes up, and it could be just, as I said, we might be externalizing our own fear in form of a conflict with somebody. It's a perceived fear or a perceived conflict or a perceived power struggle or ego conflict. You have to believe that it's adding a muscle to you, exercising your sheer will exercising a strategy, exercising your ability to pull through a project, pull through a job, pull through a opinion, pull through a relationship, pull through a contract, through it all. You have to have faith that it is making you more than you were earlier. And we came here, we came to this earth to add things to our soul. And each of those experiences, each of those conflicts, each of those things that are happening in our life, having faith that they're adding to us in terms of who we are becoming as the end product is definitely required at this stage. So opt in to the growth, opt in to the experience, opt in to the luck by going for it over here, by staying fiery, by going for it, not shying away from the new experience that is coming your way, even if it is sort of making you afraid. And I'll just finish this. I'm sorry it was a bit long, but I'll just finish this full moon discussion with a little bit of mythology, because this is happening at a fixed star, and the fixed star is called Beten Kaitos. Beten Kaitos is known as a shipwreck star, and it doesn't mean that the full moon causes shipwrecks, just that the star's influences that, okay, you got to wreck your ship a couple of times before it comes home. So we sort of have a mythology of belly of whale. I don't know if many of you are Christians or not, but sorry, Hebrew or not, but Hebrew Bible prophet Jonah's is the mythology that is attached to Beten Kaitos. So it's called representative of belly of whale. What happened in that was that this Hebrew Bible prophet called Jonas was called upon by God to travel to a specific place called Nineveh, and he was supposed to go over there and warn people, that something is about to happen, so they got to take care. But instead he boarded the ship to a wrong place, or he decided to go somewhere where God was not sending him. And you may or may not believe in God. I'm talking about whosoever is guiding you through, whether it's your higher mind or it's your higher faith, or it's, if you externalize that to be God, then so be it. So whosoever was guiding you, that this is your ship, this is what you're supposed to do, this was your path, and we sort of boarded a different ship. And then he got caught in a storm, and he asked to be cast aboard because he decided, okay, this was not the right ship for me, and he was swallowed by a giant fish. And that giant fish would not spit him out till he sort of accepted to go to the right path. So it sort of brings to focus a person who's stuck in a situation for a while, and perhaps due to our own undoing. So it's where we are stuck in a situation because of our own follies, but the acknowledgement and taking responsibility of our situation brings us out of that situation, and even gives something of honor to count for, because ultimately Jonas was given honors for being for taking the right road, even though after a little bit of prodding. But sometimes we are stuck in a situation because of our own folly, and we keep trying to externalize the problem to something else, to an administrative problem, to a person, to an external agency, acknowledging our own role in our destiny. Because Jupiter wants us to own this success as well. Owning where we are, our current situation, owning and taking power in that is what will help us get out of here. There's a breakthrough or transformation that comes from the strong sense of destiny after shipwreck that comes with this full moon. There's a coming out of a forced situation, coming out of a forced destiny, because we decide to take things in our own hand over here and make our destiny. Aries is all about taking destiny to some extent in our own hand and going energetically into what we think is our path, what we have been told, what our intuition has clearly told us is our path, and going for that. Going for that primal energy with everything we have got, making sure that when the power struggles happen, we exercise the muscle that Pluto has taught us, take the right strategies, and throw in the right punches, and not take things which we were taking earlier. The state of our existence, the framework of our life is meant to completely change with Pluto in Capricorn. How we govern our life, how the governments are managed, how the administrative systems are managed. A new foundation of that is about to come in 2020 when Saturn and Pluto come together and a new cycle begins. So this construction of this new era, you're very much a part of that. This evolution, your personal power is very much part of that. So the existing structures, the old structures, they are meant to come down. And they come down with innovation. And this full moon is coming with innovation. This full moon is coming with a pioneering energy, which is sort of giving away the old structure and making the pathway for the new one. So be part of that journey. Destroy the false structure that has outdone its time and purpose and move forward with it. Good luck for that. I'll leave a brief note below about each sign, which area of life this will affect, and I'll talk about it in detail in each of the sign videos now. Thank you very much, and I look forward to seeing you in your particular sign now. Thank you.